The first thing we see as we come in through the door is etched glass. I'm not sure that that's original, but it is a pretty etched glass entrance. Looking left from the door, notice the minted floor tiles which decorate the floor tiles. We are going round the building always discussing what's on the left hand side. We'll do the right when we come back the other way, and it'll still be on the left hand side. Above the door to the town hall and opposite the main doors is this tablet, which was neglected for many, many years until I started doing this talk. People had forgotten that was there. You'll see, it's not in the best position, but that's West Bromwich Boer War Memorial, and it's recently been refurbished. It's nice and pretty there, but it was black. It was brass. It was totally black, and you couldn't read it at all. If I expand the picture, you can see the names, etc. And one lady who was in one of these talks said that it's the first time she's ever been able to see the name of one of her relations that's on that board. The tablet is erected, it states, this tablet is erected by the mayor, aldermen and burgesses of the borough to commemorate the devotion of the men of this town, whose names are hereafter inscribed to the service of their sovereign and country, in voluntary offering themselves for sacrifice and serving with the forces in the field in the Boer War, which commenced on the 11th of October 1899 and ended May 31st, 1902. And then there's the list of the names of everybody who went. In the display cases you'll find grants of arms for Wednesbury, West Bromwich and Tipton, 3 independent boroughs until 1966. What you see in the cabinets are not the originals. I shouldn't say I. West Bromwich Civic Pride asked for the originals to be taken away for safe keeping following a break-in when Wednesbury Regalia was stolen. Civic chains were in those offices, gold chains and that, and there was a break-in, some were stolen, and we asked for replacements to be put instead of the originals. Once again, these can be expanded if anybody really wants to, and you can read what's on there, if you can read it, okay? You've got Tipton Grant of Arms, the Charter, Wednesbury Grant of Arms and West Bromwich. And being as we're in West Bromwich is, can you move? That's Wednesbury, next please. That's West Bromwich. And the motto, logo, Grant of Arms is Azure, a stag's head carboshed argent between 3 fleur-de mulines, or a border argent charged with 4 mullets and 4 fleur-de-lis, alternately azure. If you read that, this is all French. Of course it's all French because the Normans conquered the country. Okay? What it says is that on the blue shield, a stag's head centrally between 3 gold fleur-de mulines, and this is the little, 3, and then the others, the stars. Shield has a silver border with 4 blue fleur-de-lis centrally aligned, and the motto of course is Labour Omnia Vincit, which means everybody knows Labour brings its own rewards. Okay? I do stand corrected sometimes, but I think I'm right. Wednesbury Urban District Council, Tipton Urban District Council and West Bromwich County Borough were amalgamated in 1966, which was the first of 2 local major political reorganisations. In 1974, the second amalgamation took place, with West Bromwich and Albury taking the name of Sandwell MBC, when much of the civic regalia, mayoral rolls and civic plate from all 3 towns, along with other items were moved from their original places at Tipton and Wednesbury into here at West Bromwich, and then they had the break-in. Some of the Wednesbury civic regalia was stolen, and the insurance money received in a compensation partially financed the Helen Caddick display rooms at Wednesbury Museum and Art Gallery. So the two downstairs rooms, one to the left, one to the right, were refurbished by monies from insurances from Wednesbury Regalia. Sandwell Civic Regalia now resides at Sandwell Council House at Albury. And if you've never had a visit of the council house, the big house I should say, or if you want to be accurate, ye big house, they love to take people around there.
It's a very good exhibition, well worth going to see.
There's a lot of civic plate in there and various other things, so you might want to think of going around there. This is the town information kiosk. Whenever you wanted any information around the town, this is the first stop, or was the first stop. And I used to come in here regularly as a youngster and get a map of the town. I don't know how many I had eventually, but I think nearly every youngster had a map from that place there. There was always someone in there on duty. On the walls of the corridor were many items of interest, including this, the plaque of HMS Bermuda. The design incorporates design of a fabulous beast and the stern section of a ship, topped with a crown. The plaque was presented to West Bromwich by the Lord Commissioners of the Admiralty to commemorate the adoption of HMS Bermuda by West Bromwich Borough during the war. After being decommissioned, the ship bell was also presented to the town. The ship's bell of HMS Bermuda used to hang next to the plaque and just outside the door there, just at the top of the steps. And it was used to call members to council and other meetings, just a ding-ding. During my deputy mayoral year, 1984-85, I presented the bell to the Royal Naval Association Court down at Bull Bay, where it's there now today, of course. The Synchronome electric master time clock was made in England. The legend plate states advance, retard and electronic patent. The clock has a pendulum escapement which controls an electrical impulse to slave clocks around this and other civic clocks around the borough. Do you remember when there was a bus driver and conductor and they used to get out the bus every now and then, put a key in the clock and go click?
Yes.
That clock was fed from this one here. Over at the works department, the timing in, timing out and the office clocks were fed from this. And of course all the clocks in this building were fed the same. So every clock had the same time and it was council time. Not British summertime or winter, it was council time. That's the clock they went to. In the council chamber, that's the clock the mayor used for meetings, etc.
There was a clock at Carter's Green and one at the Boundary.
Fry Park, Wednesbury.
And yes. But the two ends were
Yeah.
Carter's Green and at the Boundary.
At the Boundary, the bus conductor used to change his ticket machine.
Yes.
Anybody remember that?
Yes, I do.
Because this is West Bromwich and that's
There
Birmingham.
we go.
Okay.
I remember changing buses. I don't remember the conductor changing. I just get off the one bus and onto the other bus.
You had to pay twice, which confused me when I was a little.
The pendulum swings and the escapement movement rotates for a set number of cogs. In that place 30 seconds. The escapement triggers the electronic impulse which goes to solenoids at all the slave clocks, advancing each half a minute at a time. In spring the master is advanced 1 hour, 120 impulses. In autumn, to reset the clock, it had to be advanced 6 days, 23 hours, work out the clicks yourself.
Yeah.
I'm a person who used to do it in a couple of companies locally. You cannot take a clock backwards. You should never retard a clock. That's the definition. Slave clocks from this master were also installed public works, clocking points, bus garage, bus stages, and at one time there were points all along the routes. If you look in the floor of the main corridor, you'll find these plaques. 0 feet, 10 feet, 33 feet, and a few more to 66 foot, which is on the far side of the passageway. These are there because this was part of the market hall. Those are official measurements. Okay? They are official measurements. I've never understood why, but until last year, that was upside down to all the rest. But somebody's turned it round. I wish they hadn't, because it would. The original West Bromwich Market Hall used to stand on the town hall site, and underfoot in the main corridor, you will see brass markers from the market hall set in the Minton floor tiles. The first plaque, 0 feet, is just outside the door at the top of the steps, and the last one, 66 foot, as I said, is the far end. That's the doorway that we came through just before the steps at the top there. Notice the, the glass, stained glass, beautiful thing. If the light was behind it, it would be a fabulous light, but it's dark on both sides. Next please. This is committee room A, the top of the steps on the right hand side. And the feature of that room is of course the fireplace. Next one please. And that is set, back it up please. There. Now you'll notice the fixing strip of wood there is missing, and it's still missing, and I'm convinced that somebody's going to borrow that plaque one of the days. Can you turn it on please? I have reported it several times. I might take it out of there and then give it somebody down at the council house. Say, have you lost this? Okay? In the back please. I haven't got photographs of them because there's so many, but in the committee room A, you'll find photographs of every mayor of West Bromwich. Not Sandwell, West Bromwich. Sandwell mayors are down at the big house. You'll notice for half of the mayors, they've got ermine collars, you know, with the regalia, etc. Now, there was a complaint. A lord complained. Only lords are allowed to wear ermine. You can wear muskrat, but you can't wear ermine. So the council mayor, West Bromwich mayor, had to stop using that gown. That was a present of the early Dartmouth when the place was built. You'll notice when you go around that some of the ermine collars, some are. Coal fires were a regular feature in that place, and all of the rooms, except the town hall, had coal fires. Photographs, as I've said, by all the mayors of the borough. There's only 2 photographs that are a husband and wife team. That's Doris and Bill Manifold, who were both mayors in their own right, 10 years apart. The photographs were taken by Darby's, the photographer in West Bromwich. And you'll notice that many of the mayors are sitting on a particularly ornate chair. You won't find it in this building. It's never resided in this building. It belonged to Darby's, and it was a fancy chair for the photograph to be taken. The first little room at the top of the stairs there on the left hand side as we're looking at it from here was the mayor's robing room. On council meeting nights and other meeting nights when the mayor robed up, that's where he used to robe up, in the little room at the top of the stairs. In later years, almost to today, not quite, local MPs have held a Friday night surgeries in there. That's had to be stopped by order of the police for Tom Watson, the deputy leader of the Labour Party. It's It's not safe for MPs, councillors, etc. to be on their own anywhere with members of the public. As daft as it sounds, that's the way it is. The MP now will consult with any member of the public, but it's going to be by appointment only. You phone in his office, make an appointment, and he'll meet you any time. At the side of the staircase there's a telephone box. When I was first elected, that was an active telephone. No mobiles in them days. And that's where, if we needed to make a phone call, that's where we'd use it. The phone, of course, has been taken out now. And inside there you'll find what's called a PBX exchange. That came from the war rooms of West Bromwich, which were located from 1939 to 45 in the cellars. We'll see those later. That's one of the originals from downstairs. We're in Committee Room B. There's nothing to say about this room really, nothing at all. The walls are detachable. Sometimes when there's meetings next door, this is used for refreshments. But I can't think of anything of note in this particular room. There's two toilets, ladies and gents of course, and the robing room. Well, it used to be the robing room. It's a general junk room now, I think, next door where the mayors and originally the councillors' gowns were held when they weren't being worn. In Committee Room A, you'll notice the chairs. I think they're fabulous chairs, and I'll be showing you those when we go into the room. I'm fighting to get the original tables back. They've got modern chipboard tables in there instead of the original oak tables, which are about the building. Why they can't swap them back to where they were, I don't know. That's it. In the council chamber next door, the most prominent thing, which was above the mayor's head when the mayor was occupying the seat, is of course the council logo, motto. There it is again. Of course it's all out of the borough, it was. And you'll still find it in many, many places, old books, all sorts of things. And the next. There's also wooden notice boards. This is the role of the mayors of the borough. And the next. Role of freeman of the borough. There's also one right of entry. I thought that was on there as well. But we'll see it later, but there's right of entry. This is for military organisations that have done service to the town. And in the very near future, we'll have a right of entry from the brigade that still occupy the Carter's Green Centre. With the right of entry, it's bands, flags, all the whole military organisation stamping through the town. We'll be having that on Forces Day. They'll come from Carter's Green through the town to Dartmouth Park where the event will be held. It may be next year. It was mooted for this year, but it's been put off for some reason. I think it's because there's so many other parades around the borough, being this is the centenary of the cessation of activities from the Great War. Notice the ceiling bosses and ceiling being detailed. It really is a lovely room. It's not decorated as finely as it used to be, but it's still, you know, it's a lovely room. Moving on, then we move stairway to the public gallery. Sorry, that's the other end. That stairway is not an original feature. If you wanted to get into the public gallery, you had to go around the street. You couldn't go from the chamber. That's so that the hooligans couldn't get down at the councils. But that's been changed in recent years. At the top of the steps is the second doorway to the mayor's robing room. He'd come from the mayor's chamber, through the robing room, and down the back way. He was the only one or she were the only people who used the stairs at the side there at one time. Into the left corridor, and the first room on the left-hand side is Committee Room C. Pretty plain room, but notice the radiator in there. Once upon a time, all radiators were ornate. And these are cast design, and there's the line, the Waterloo line on the side, and they'd all got the similar. A feature of the building that disappeared many years ago, which I thought was fabulous, were in the toilets. The brackets that held the cistern, you know? Where the bracket was, there was a child on a swing underneath, cast, you know, for the bracket. And I thought it was absolutely delightful, but they disappeared. We've got all modern now with modern pushes. The next room at the passageway is now a public room. It's a large public room. It used to be the part of the library service, and that's where they did the collections for the various libraries around the borough after the inception of Sandwell. Sandwell's got 19 libraries, one mobile library and a home delivery service. Since most local authorities are cutting libraries, Sandwell has been determined to maintain what we've got. We've actually opened 2 new ones 3 years ago, but every one we are committed to keeping open. 19 libraries. There's only Paris in Europe got more libraries as a town than Sandwell. Go towards the end there. Okay, that's all right. We pass another room which it used to be a storage room in the past, a filing room I believe, but now it's the Chief Curator's office. And the next door to that, the next place in the passageway is the exit doors to the car park. I haven't got a photograph of the inside doors, but of course that's the outside doors. Once again here, absolutely beautiful. And until recently, over the road at the Memorial Gardens, these cast iron used to be on the gates over there. And inside there was litter bins, 4 litter bins, and it had got a plaque like that on the bins that said, Civic Pride, litter inside. And those have disappeared. I've asked if somebody can find them. At the rear there are many offices. Elections offices, doors off the car park, they're just rooms, they're just offices. The elections office was of course the most busy, as it will be in Sandwell in a couple of weeks' time again. Everything appertaining to the elections goes through that system down there. Used to go through that system, it now goes through Albury. The most famous library elections officer was of course Judith Buggins. She was here for many years, and she was known as one of the most knowledgeable elections officers in the country. If somebody wanted to know anything about any elections, she was the person, Judith. There's 2 semicircular corridors right at the back of the town hall, which we will have a walk around. One leads to the street, and the other one leads to the kitchen. So it's, you know, internal walkways really. There's a view at the back of the town hall. It's not very good, is it, to be honest? And I've never understood why. There's a multitude of wiring all over the place. There really is around it. It is an untidy space, the car park. Where that car is parked, and it is my own car, that's my reserved car parking space. I'm the only councillor that's got a reserved car. That's number 24. It's mine. I said I refuse to keep coming to this place to pay for parking, which is what we had to do at the back. I said I'm not going to do it. We'll have meetings somewhere else. So they gave me a car parking space. And it's nearly always filled, but that's the way it is. Okay? I told you earlier that the roof and the frame of the place was cast at Wednesbury. And if you haven't looked up, you've missed a treat. It really is a beautiful That's the main hall with the organ, of course. And at the side, the next one, there's side aisles, and those are above, all the way down the side aisles. The roof of the town hall is supported in semicircular iron ribs cast with ornamental patterns. The substructure or skeleton, as I've said, was cast at Smith Road, Wednesbury. Sam Copson, former Mayor Sergeant and Town Hall Curator, gave me that information. The original wooden flooring wore out and was replaced in the mid-1980s with a sprung dance floor, which had become surplus at the Gala Baths, Edward Street, when the Alden was knocked down. They had the floor, the temporary floor as it was, put as a permanent floor in the town hall. You'll notice round the rooms of the town hall the same heating systems that the Romans had. That's a hypercore system. There's not many places that can see that, but we've got one at West Bromwich. Next. And of course the centrepiece to the town hall is the town hall organ, built by Forster and Andrews of Hull following the London International Exhibition of 1862, and is one of 12 organs built for town halls up and down the country by that firm. The organ was a gift of Mr. Alexander Brogden, MP, in 1878. Mr. Brogden was the first MP from Wednesbury and West Bromwich. Remember, West Bromwich at that time was part of Wednesbury parliamentary constituency, as was Sheffield and Pelsall. Wednesbury was at one time the largest parliamentary constituency in the country. West Bromwich, Tipton, Wednesfield, Wellinghall, Walsall, Rushall and more. Mr. Brogden presented organs for both Wednesbury and West Bromwich Town Halls. Both organs were made by Forster and Andrews of Hull, and the Wednesbury organ cost £1,000 in 1872 and was later presented to the London Church of St Augustine's in around 1960. They had lost theirs through fire. In the mid-1980s, West Bromwich Town Hall organ had a £1.2 million donation for a complete renovation, when 2 grands and humidifiers were added. In May 1997, the organ was awarded a certificate by the British Institute of Organ Studies, as it was considered to be of historic importance for its musical and technical qualities. It is also recorded as historic in the National Pipe Organ Register at Cambridge University. There is a blast plate on the organ, and it reads, "The organ was presented to the organists of West Bromwich by Alexander Brogden Esquire, Member of Parliament for the Borough of Wednesbury, 6th of May 1887. There's also a grand piano on the stage, usually on the stage, serial number 99345. Manufactured in 1919 by Julius Bluthner, Pianoforte Fabrik, GmbH, Leipzig, Germany, and is known as a Style 6th in black bright finish. It is 5'8" in overall length, with aliquot scaling and fitted with a Bluthner patent action. The instrument was originally sold to Stockley and Company, a piano company in Birmingham, on the 17th of August 1920, and subsequently in April 1958 the instrument was owned by Mr. W.T. Good of High Street, West Bromwich. We knew him as Bill Good. He was the borough organist and pianist, so he may well have willed the instrument to the town. At the side of the organ, you'll find ornate doorways and once again stained glass windows. Many events are still held in the town hall. This is a recent one where the launch of the Towards 2030 exhibition took place. You'll find Marianne in there somewhere, but the place is very often filled. If you want to see the town hall in its full glory, Remembrance Sunday evening service is the time to do it. This year, remembrance service will be Saturday evening because there's so many other things on around the borough on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So they're moving the remembrance service. That's not the proper title. It's the remembrance commemoration to the Saturday night, which is the same night as the Albert Hall London loses theirs. I think this is a one-off. I mentioned two doors on the side of the town hall buildings in Lodge Road. They both lead into a little vestibule, and then each side of this set of steps up through into the town hall here, where you paid your money to come into the room, or a ticket for a dance or an event or something. Remember the ticket office?
You know, I don't.
It's been there since the building was built, and I remember coming to a dance once, and it must have been about 1960 when we offered tickets to that window. Long time ago. It's still there, we'll go and see it. Okay?
Just having.
Down the passageway, it is an office. The ticket office, there are several doors. One led to the office of the Mayor's Secretary, another one the Mayor's Sergeant, stationery storage rooms, etc. Toilets on the far passageway there. We'll see all of these. Stairways to the upper floors, and of course right at the end of the building is the stained glass windows once again. The main staircase leading from the corridor to the balcony has a large stained glass window with a central panel containing the design of the crest and motto of the West Bromwich Town Improvement Commissioners. Remember I mentioned those at the very beginning. This is before there was a council. The vestry ran the town first, from the church, then the improvement board, and then the council. Kilns and a water tower. West Bromwich was famous for bricks. Down Great Green, blue bricks, and they were used nationwide in railways. If you go to most railway stations, you'll find big blue bricks. They were made down the road. Fabulous bricks, very, very hard engineering bricks. The central design has a water tower with brick kilns at the sides, and below is a Stafford knot. Can't see it. We'll look at it when we go up the steps, but remember I've said the Stafford knot, not the Staffordshire knot. Staffordshire is a county, Stafford is a family, and that's the knot of the family, crest of arms for the family. Upper office, there's the used to be the leader's room. It's just a block of offices, and most of you know that place better than I do now. On the other side of the overlooking the town hall is the balcony, and that's above the switch room. It's also been used for a spotlight room, etc. over the years. But that clock, once again, was fed from the master clock at the top there. Okay, so the balcony up there, we'll come down the second set of steps into the Mayor's office after we've been down in the cellar. And that chair used to be in the Mayor's office, and it used to be transposed into the council chamber for council meetings only, full council. Committee meetings was just an ordinary chair. Notice the same design, the charity, the Commissioner's logo, not West Bromwich coat of arms. I'll talk about the basement when we go down there, and I think that's about it for our walk around West Bromwich Town Hall. Okay.